What was the process of sitting down, thinking what you've been through it, and writing a book?
I really, really wanted that the reader will be, like in my eyes.
Why was it important to you that others experienced or tried to understand what you've been through?
Because it was extreme experience, and I'm quite sure that most of the people can't really imagine what is to be in captivity. Even Israelis, it was very surprising for most of them to hear about all these details.
Why is it important for you to have others understand what you went through?
It's part of our history now in Israel. October 7, it was event that nobody should forget about it. I'm a part of this history.
Were you thinking about writing this book while you were being held in Gaza?
No way. I thought I'm, going to be released one day, taking my wife, my daughters, move to England to live, in a quiet place and forget about all this conflict, not thinking about speeches, not meeting presidents, not talking in the UN, and especially not writing a book.
I wondered, you have the book next to you, I wondered if you wouldn't mind just reading the first page.
5 terrorists enter with weapons drawn. We are in our pajamas. They come with uniforms, balaklavas, and Kalashnikovs. They found us, me, my wife Liane, our beautiful daughters, Noya and Yahel, and our dog. We are in our safe room, a reinforced shelter in our house that is supposed to protect us from rocket attacks, not intruders like this. The dog barks in distress. She doesn't like strangers. The sound draws the terrorists fire, and the sound of the gunshots ricochets off the walls. It's deafening. Liane and I jumped onto the girls, shield them, checking they've not hurt, and shouting at the terrorists to stop. Begging them, "Don't be afraid," they reply in Arabic, and demand that we hand over our cell phones.
I should note you originally wrote this in Hebrew. This is a translation.
Yes.
Thank you. I mean, can you believe you're writing about your own life?
It's just not my own life. It's a dramatic moment in my life that I will never forget. I will never forget the fears in my daughter's eyes.
The fear.
It was horrible.
What do you see when you think of that?
When you see your children afraid from something, and you understand that every moment they can shoot you, it's not something you can explain, really, the fear. I will need to live it, this moment until my last day.
Because you keep thinking of the expression on the faces of your daughters.
Yes, the face of my daughters. Liane was in shock. She couldn't move. And I think maybe she understood better than me that they're not safe with their British passports, like I thought. And I regret that I didn't realize it will be the last moments I'll see them.
But you couldn't have done anything.
You always can do something different. But we really believed the British passport will protect them.
For people who have not been to Israel, they might not understand this concept of a safe house. Every home, every apartment has a safe room to go into. You had heard explosions, you had heard alarms, and you, your wife, your daughters, the dog, you all went into that safe room.
Yeah, Actually, we understood. We understood from what we heard outside. We understood from the WhatsApp messages we got from all over the kibbutz, especially from kids, that terrorists get into houses and shoot people and set fires, houses. We understood that, but we really believed that our situation will be different because Lian, born in England, and they had British passport, her and the girls. So we knew we need to stay calm, and like we thought, I will be kidnapped and they will be okay. That's what we thought.
When did you realize that you were being kidnapped, that you were being taken into Gaza?
I could hear the commander of the terrorists in our house telling two guys that hold me to take me out, understand Arabic. So for me it was the sign I need to shout to my girls, I'll be back. And since then I was in surviving mode.
Can you remember what you were thinking in those early moments of being kidnapped?
Just keep staying alive until I arrived somewhere. I knew the way to Gaza will be very dangerous. I presume the Air Force maybe will shoot any car going towards from Be'eri to Gaza. And so it was very intense moments for me and for them as well, for the terrorists. I just wanted to stay alive in these moments, to arriving place, and then I start to think how to survive there.
You understand Arabic. How much were you able to talk with your captors?
After 3-4 days, we start to talk with the captors. We've told them what we need, basic things like toothpaste, toothbrush, some food, some drinks. And we understood them talking, between themselves about the situation. And they let us know about what's happening in the world, that there's some talks about, agreements to change hostages. And we were optimistic about these talks, and we waited to our release. Unfortunately, the first ceasefire didn't hold enough for me to be released.
You realize you've been taken into Gaza. You write then that you were worried about being lynched?
Yes, well, the first stop we made in a mosque. Outside the mosque was a mob of civilians that shouted Allahu Akbar, and they just they grabbed me from the terrorists and started to lynch me with their bare hands.
Just people on the street?
Just people that waited by this mosque, but fortunately the terrorists succeed to take me away from them into the mosque, and they undressed me and investigate me there and move me to other places.
Before even going too much further, to step back, if you don't mind, out of sequence, can you describe life? What was life like in Be'eri, in the kibbutz?
We had quiet, ordinary life. Me and Lian were very concentrated in our work, our professional, our careers. We were very happy about how the girls felt living in the kibbutz with lots of friends, lots of activities, beautiful area with fields, with a dog. So always it was our dream to raise the family like that. We weren't far away from our family and our drive to my brothers and sisters. And Yossi, my brother, used to live with us in the kibbutz. So it was all perfect for me.
Tell me about your wife, Lian, about your daughters.
Wow, Lian arrived 1995. She was 20 years old. She arrived from England to be a volunteer for 3 months. We fell in love. She loved the kibbutz, the area, the people. She learned Hebrew very quickly. She loved to read books. She loved to sing. She had great voice. And she loved to sing, you know, especially Amy Winehouse songs and Adele songs. And
What made you fall in love with her?
oh, she was very British. She was very British. She taught me manners, first of all. And she was very proud to be British with her food, with their culture. And she was funny. I loved her. I loved every moment of her living with her, 28 years. I feel very lucky that I had these 28 years with her. And our daughters, each one of them, the oldest, Noya, was copy of Lian physically, and she loved helping disabled children. And Yahel, she was extreme girl that loved jumping from airplanes and scuba diving and playing football, and she was all me, except of jumping airplanes. Yeah, she was fun. She was funny. We had great life, great life. I miss them a lot.
On October 7th, you were taken to Gaza. You write you were worried about being lynched by townspeople. How long did it take until you were moved into the tunnels?
After 52 days, in the middle of the ceasefire, the first ceasefire, it was November 27, 2023. This time, as a convenience time that nobody will attack them outside, they moved us to the tunnels. It was 20 minutes walk from the house we've been. The first mosque we've seen, we got in. They took us to side room, and then they opened the door on the floor, and we've seen the ladder, and they asked us to climb down.
You were inside a mosque.
Yes, inside the mosque.
It was a trap door like you'd imagine in the
It
movie?
was side room, regular room, but then at the floor it was another door, and that was a ladder, and that we needed to climb down something like 30 meters.
At that point, you knew you were going into the tunnels.
Yes, it looked like the perfect grave. And
It looked like what?
a perfect grave for me. I refused in the beginning, but after a while they stopped convincing me to climb down, and they just took their guns, pointed to my head, and they said, well, you have to go to climb down now, if not, we are going to shoot you.
Why were you so scared, so reluctant to go into the tunnels? You'd already been held for months.
Yes, but nobody to go underground to a darkness, no air. You imagine no air. You're not going to see day of light anymore. For us, it's hell anyway.
How different were the tunnels?
Yeah, well, each one of them is different. Some with lights, some with water, some with gas, and some is not. It's making more difficult to survive in tunnels without lights and water and no gas and no telephone, and they cannot bring any supply in. It was a big challenge for us to survive in these tunnels.
You mentioned that first ceasefire. You got news that there was a ceasefire. Did you have hope at that point that you might be released?
We have been very, very optimistic about this ceasefire. And we said after the women and children, they probably will take all the injured hostages. They release them. And after us, the civilians. And we were really, really optimistic that we are going to be released in less than 2 months. Unfortunately, the ceasefire finished, and we stayed there another 440 days. So in total it was 491 days.
Can you believe that?
If you said that before, I didn't believe, and it was very challenging to survive and to keep faith that one day you are going to be released. In the end of the day, we just needed to mark at least one thing that good that happened to us. I knew it's like a muscle that you need to work on and that keep you optimistic, and it's like to create a new reality in the tunnels. You create your own reality.
You and the other hostages.
Yes,
we
needed to
work
on
together.
that. Yes, and I explained to them that I'm sure that is good things as well in all this darkness. There's a little bit of light that happening to us every day. Sometimes it can be sugar in the tea. Sometimes it can be another quarter bit of bread. Sometimes it can be, the one that give you the food is not someone that humiliate you usually. It can be anything that make you feel good this day.
This was your idea to talk with the others being held hostage and to say, this is the one good thing that happened to me each day?
You're looking for any source that give you hope, that give you strength. You're able to pass this captivity and to survive.
For a while, you were held with Hirsch Goldberg Polin, who was killed when he was 24 years old.
Yes.
He told you something that you stuck with you.
Yeah, with the sentence he said to us, it was Nietzsche sentence.
He who has a why can bear any how. That's what Hirsch told you. That's what stuck with you.
Yes, and it helped us a lot, really.
To have something you're living for, something that you're pushing for.
Yes, and we knew each one of us, we mind to the others why is surviving, who is surviving for. It was great for us, and didn't let us to break and to give up and to lose faith.
Why were you surviving? What was pushing you to want to survive?
First of all, my wife and my daughters, and just to hold them, to hug them again. It was, my main dream. And of course, my mother, my brothers and sisters, my friends. 50 meters underground, you actually understand the meaning in life that is not your academic degrees and not your profession and achievements and how much money you have in the bank. You miss your family and friends, you miss people. And you just wish for another minute with them.
It sounds like it affected you in a profound way.
Yes, well, you're 50 meters underground, 491 days in captivity, that you lose your freedom, and you have time to think with yourself. So, hours and hours every day, you understand what is important in life. And you just want another, second chance.
Tell me about the interaction you had with Hamas, those who were keeping you captive.
First of all, you analyze them every day. You analyze their behavior because you need to survive with them 24/7, and you need to have a kind of relationship with them. You understand it's going to be a very delicate relationship. You need to be very careful of what you're saying, and never forget that they are not your friends. Even if someone of them gave you more food a day before or made a joke, their behavior can change in every second, and most of the time they've been very cruel with us, so you cannot really forget that. And you need to remind yourself to have a zero ego, even when they humiliate you and say horrible things to you and use loads of psychological terror against you and use from time to time violence against you.
They would beat you?
They beat us It was one time they broke my ribs and I couldn't breathe properly for 2 or 3 months. And my friend needed to help me to stand from lying down to stand to go to the bathroom. And they undressed us every 2 weeks and look for things that maybe we are going to attack them with them.
What did that do to you?
Oh, it's very humiliating moments for you, and especially when you're chained to your friends, leg by leg, and you need to go to the bathroom with him, to the toilet.
You have to go together?
Yeah, you have to go together. It's very, very humiliating moments. It's not easy.
Are there bathrooms?
It's a toilet. There's no running water, so you use bottles. You can see the worms everywhere. Worms, rats, cockroaches.
Just all around?
All around you. It was hell. It was hell.
How much of the time were you in shackles, restrained?
We were chained with iron chain on our legs 24/7. Every step you make, it's not more than 3 inches. I remember it was a week before the release when they took it off from us because they knew there's agreement and we are going to be released, and they took it off of us and our legs start to fly all over the place. We couldn't control them because we didn't know how to walk properly like normal people walk.
Because you'd been chained for more than a year?
Yes,
Almost
16 months. 16 months.
You write about the relationships that you developed with the other captives, the other hostages. Alon Ohel became a friend of sorts.
Yes.
He's still held captive in Gaza.
Unfortunately. Yes, it's really hard to believe he's still there. I met Alon on November 27, 2023. And after an hour of conversation, I understood. I say all the time, we have the same DNA, same values, a lot in common. The things we like scuba diving, like traveling in the world. We talked a lot about that. And he was an amazing kid, still amazing kid. I love him a lot. Dearly, really. I adopted him.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I felt like his father is half of my age. We were friends, but I adopted him. I knew that I need to take care of him because I recognize that he doesn't have all he needs to survive on his own, and he needs someone to guide him.
How did you guide him?
Open his eyes because he was very, very naive. He was all heart, very good heart, and I needed to explain to him in captivity, people react a little bit different than the normal life. And so I needed to wake him up and to guide him and to teach him a few things. And we talked a lot. We had hundreds of hours of conversations. I told his parents after my release that they have like a new boy that become a man, and he can take care of himself and he can survive, and they have to believe that.
Is there any way to describe the emotion of waiting, wondering if you're being released, watching others be released?
Yes. It's hard to wait for him. All the hostages, their families, running out of, they're exhausted waiting for their lovers. They wanted them back home yesterday, not today. And it's not easy to be with the family that are still waiting for their child. And they're really fighting, and doing everything they can for the awareness that nobody will forget them there. And they're fighting for their children to be home. It's amazing because then you understand what my family went through, waiting for me. and we are still, as a family, as Sharabis, waiting for that my brother Yossi's body, and we can bury him, and we'll have a grave to cry on.
You see the empty space for his grave at the cemetery. That must be hard.
It's hard. It's hard to understand that, but we are very close and warm family, and we are very united, and we understand that Yossi is dead, but we need to be strong for his wife and daughters, and we are staying together for this.
Is there any way to have the introspection to think why was I pushed to survive? Why was I so organized, so disciplined? What is it about you that made you so organized, so disciplined in such an unimaginable circumstance?
First of all, probably it's something in my personality.
Just born with it?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe.
Your training?
I love life.
You speak Arabic. Did your captors question if you were military intelligence?
Yes, they were very surprised. I know Arabic, but I knew it from when I studied, when I was a kid, in school, in high school. And after that, I helped my daughter that she studied as well Arabic, so I helped her with her homework. So I knew a little bit Arabic. That helped me a lot there.
How did it help you?
To communicate with the captors, to understand them when they didn't tell us a lot of things, just listening to them. It gave me a little bit of control of situation that it's really uncontrolled by you. Again, it was a bit tough with the thoughts that I'm a military man, that I'm not a civilian, and they were scared about that. They were suspicious that I'm from Mossad or Shabak. And
Are you?
No, I wasn't. I used to be a CFO of companies, so that's my job. Not Mossad, not Shabak. I just know Arabic. My mom is Moroccan. My father was from Yemen, so we heard a little bit at home, a little bit Arabic. So I grew up with that.
Speaking Arabic, did understanding Hamas, your captors, did it give you any insight personally into what you felt their motivations were?
No, not really. I can't understand anyone's motivation that educate to hate or educate to fight and kill innocent people, especially children, at their homes. So I cannot understand them at all, and I'm not sympathetic with that. So I had a relationship with them and playing a role and acting their game just to survive.
I guess I wonder if you learned anything about Palestinians during your time in captivity, or Hamas, or I just wonder what you picked up.
Well, I can tell you I was in shock that in 2023, 2024, I've been there. Still people can be that ignorant about stuff, because all the media, all the information you can get, we want to get, you can get that, and they knew so little about Israel and Israelis, especially the young one, because the old terrorists, well, that was 50 more years, some of them or most of them used to work in Israel in the past, so they knew a little bit more than the young ones. And I couldn't really understand how much people can hate, and I've seen the hate in their eyes, especially the young ones.
What do you mean by that? See the hate?
They just, if the old commander haven't been there with us, we were so much worried, because we knew they can take their guns in every second, and if they are furious and angry at that moment, they can shoot us.
When did you realize you were going to be released?
It was a high commander one day that arrived to the tunnel, and he explained to us that me and Or going to leave in a week, to be released, and Elia as well, and just alone will stay there and wait for the another agreement.
What was that like?
Well, you imagine this moment hundreds of times in your head, that someone will come to say to you, you're going home, and you believe it's going to be the happiest moment ever for you. And because of alone, this moment become very complicated. He had small panic attack.
He did.
Yes, he start to cry and shaking. So we took water, washed his face, hugging him. It wasn't easy.
Did you ever try to escape?
We thought about it many, many times, but when you thinking clearly about the situation, you understand you have no chance to survive outside.
You described the tunnels in some ways getting worse and worse, smaller.
Yes. Awful.
You say one of the things that sticks with you is the smell. What's the smell?
Yes. First of all, you have no air, and the last tunnel, we needed to dig a hole in the ground that we can pee there, and of course the other things. So the smell, and we've been just lie down 2 meters from there, so it was awful. But again, we didn't care, because when it's after such a long time, when someone said to you, in a few days you are going home, you don't care about anything. You just imagine and thinking about your family. I thought about Lian, Noya in the hell just running towards me, and that's what I was scared about.
When you were thinking about getting released, that's what you were thinking about, seeing your wife,
Yes.
seeing your daughters again.
Yeah,
You had been told by your captors that they were alive.
they were alive. They saw them on TV with my mother, and they protest for me in Tel Aviv, and they're holding my photo. Yes, and even on February 8, 25, they made me to answer how I feel that I'm going to see my wife and my daughters. So that was one of the questions in this horrible ceremony, just 15 minutes before our release.
They knew that your wife and daughter were not alive.
Probably. They knew that from the first moment. But for me, I'm glad nobody said that to me all days in captivity. Otherwise, it would have been very challenging to survive, knowing my wife and my daughters been murdered.
When you're released, you're first with the Red Cross, and then they take you to the IDF, and what are you told?
Yes. After 15 minutes drive with the Red Cross, car, the door was open, and I stepped out from the car, and a social worker from the IDF approached me and introduced herself and said, "My name is Leah, and your mother and your sister waiting for you in Reim camp." And
When you hear that, what do you think?
I said to her, "Just bring me Lian and my daughters."
My wife and my kids.
Yes, my wife and my daughters, yes. And she said, "Well, your mother and your sister will tell you." And of course, that was her gentle way to, tell me what happened.
You knew what she was saying at that moment?
I understood. I'm a very practical person, and I can't say that I didn't think this scenario is possible. When I was in captivity, I say that almost every day. I want to believe my wife and my daughters are all right. I said that to the captors, I said that to the other hostages. But deep down, I knew this moment is possible, and I didn't want to believe that, but I knew it's possible. So I cried for 5 minutes. It was like a hammer on my head. She hugged me.
You had learned your brother had been killed.
I've been killed. and he was, a hostage as well. And after 100 days, he'd been killed in captivity. So I knew what, the Sharabi's family need to hug each other and be with each other, and this is the only way we pass this loss. And so I said to her, come on, let's go. She looked at me, she didn't believe I'll react like that after 5 minutes. And we've done that, and it was a very emotional meeting with my sister and my mother. And after 2 hours, we arrived to the hospital, and my brother and my little sister waited for me as well there. In 1 second, you just understand your life you knew before is no longer your reality anymore. Your life changed 180 degrees, and you start to understand what you need for your new life, about a place to live and how to rebuild your life and what to work, and you think about all these things and how to recover from this trauma.
What deep down pushes you today?
That I really, really want just my wife, my daughters, and my brother will be proud of me, and to have a normal life again, to rebuild my life, to do things I believe I need to do, is to fight for the 48 hostages that remain in Gaza.
Do you have hope that the hostages will be released? Do you have hope that there will be peace?
I have more than hope. I'm sure it will happen soon. It's not easy, especially when it's a time now that we are more fight than talking. I remember in the tunnels that when it's time that there is a big war outside, or it's talking as well, we could see that their mode, they change.
You were getting a sense of geopolitics.
Yes.
In those tunnels.
Yes.
How would it change if there was fighting versus talking?
They could be very mean to us when it was war there, and they could be nicer to us if it was negotiations. So now when it's a war and more than talking, I can understand what alone feels. And it's very difficult to think about that.
I was thinking as we were in Bari, we were both hearing the explosions. I've heard them from my hotel here in Tel Aviv. Israel has stepped up this latest ground offensive as we're talking. I wonder how you see that from the perspective of someone who'd been held in Gaza.
I'm not here to give grades to to the Israeli government. I'm not a politician. I'm just concentrate of working and speaking for the remain hostages. That's what I'm concentrate on.
You just try to push the politics.
Yes. I don't think about politics. I'm not interested in politics.
You're at the center of it, though.
I'm the center maybe of the occasion, and I'm very familiar face now in Israel, or maybe abroad as well. But I'm speaking just for the hostages. I never speak politics. I'm not a politician.
May I ask maybe a hard question? There are going to be people who watch this and say, you're giving this space to this man to share his story. What about the tens of thousands of Gazans, of people in Gaza who've been killed, 60,000 plus people in Gaza who've been killed? What about those stories? What about that side?
First of all, they need to remember who started October 7. That's first of all. And second, in war, people get hurt. My wife and my daughter's been murdered in our house. And if someone can explain to me how you fighting against a terror organization that hiding behind his own population without people to get hurt, innocent people, I don't know how to do it.
Did you at any point feel that you might have been forgotten?
If I tell you that we didn't think about this thought that somebody forgot us, I probably will be a liar, because, you think about everything, about all the possibilities.
Did you know you had this strength to survive inside you?
Well, it's never been tested, but I knew I'm strong, and I knew that I'm, especially in difficult moments, I know how to think optimistic thoughts, and I was very positive, and knew that my family will never, let me down and forget about me, and I should do everything I can, to survive this hell and to come back to them.
What do you think about when you go to bed or when you're trying to sleep?
Well, sometimes, just before bed, I think about Leanne and my daughters. I'm thinking about the life I missed, but I'm very positive the life I'm going to rebuild. Very positive.
How can you be so positive after losing so much?
I love life. I love life. Simply as that. I'm very proud that I'm that meaningful for other people.
That you mean that much to other people?
Yes. It's the most moving feeling that you can feel, that people care about you. People say to me, you're lost, we lose simple things and we think our world is finished and our life is finished, and you lost your brother, your wife and your daughters, and you're smiling today. How's that possible?
And what do you say to them?
I don't get any strength from feeling like sadness and anger. I'm not. So it's something that just holds me back, and I want to move on. As I said, I'm a very practical man, so I can't do anything that brings back Lian, Noya, Yahel, Yossi. And so the best thing I can do for their memories, and for my family, for my mother, my brother and sisters, and to my friends, is to be optimistic and to be strong and to rebuild my life.